Home Depot, that is a very, 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 very common thing. If you are a cashier, you will use that. The phone calls to other employees. Monthly cashier tests. Cash strips is when you have a large amount of money. Money requests and running out of money. Oh God. Exact change versus big bills. Now my location had a good amount of theft. There are like 4 different departments that you could be in if you are a cashier at the Home Depot. It really is more than counting money. Hello. Welcome back to my channel. I'm Yasherica, and today's video is going to be about expectations and what to expect as a cashier at the Home Depot. So let's get started. So I have a little list. Well, it's not exactly little, but I have a list that I want to run through. Some of these things are going to be kind of like what to expect as a cashier in general, and some of them may be a little bit more specific to the Home Depot, but these are what you want to expect. These are some things that I picked out. Now I am going to have a separate video on customers at Home Depot, so some of these things are going to overlap into that video. But these are just some of the basics. These are some of the basics, right? So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna just go in the order that I have it in, right? So number 1, you're mostly standing around. Now that depends on where you are. Now I would definitely, for Home Depot, it is mostly standing around if you don't have customers, because you won't have customers your whole entire shift. You know what I'm saying? Especially if you have an 8-hour shift. Oh gosh, you will not have customers the whole entire time. You know, it may be full. It's just that people aren't ready to check out, and they're still looking around. They're still shopping. So in that case, you know, when you don't have customers, when you're not checking out customers, you're going to be standing around, especially if you're at an actual register. Now it's a little bit different for self-checkout, but I'm going to get to that towards the end. But if you're by a register, you will not have customers 24/7. So you're going to be mostly standing around. Depending on where you're at, you may have something you could do. You can, you know, fix, you know, whatever's by your register. So if you have like candies and chips and stuff, now you won't have that stuff around garden, so that's a little bit different. You could do something else like stocking the fridge with water if you're out there, you know, different things like that. But you know, it's not as active. You're not moving around, you're not walking around as much as other employees there. You know, at the location I worked at, you know, there was someone who was previously a cashier and decided to move on to be a lot associate because, you know, he was just more moving around out there. You know, I don't blame him. So yeah, that standing around can get you, especially if you have an 8-hour shift, but that is part of it. Now what I will say, again, like I said, that depends on where you are, because when I worked at Dollar General, there was always something else for us to do. You know, we weren't really like cashiers, we were more Dollar General associates, meaning you did just about everything. We did cashiers. I did work as a cashier. But I also did, you know, some stocking. I was like stocking candies and stuff around my register. What else? I was like putting little tags and stuff on the clothes, or like, yeah, on some of the clothes. I was cleaning, what you do, cleaning as well, at the Home Depot, you know, just around your area, your register or whatever, you know, a little bit of sweeping, emptying trash, stuff like that, little minor things like that. But yes, it really depends. But for Dollar General, it was a little bit more moving around. There was always something else to do, which is, you know, I can't say that's not the case for Home Depot, but you know, if you're a cashier, that is your main thing. That is your main priority. So you're mostly gonna be standing around. Let me see, do I have? Okay, so I'll leave that right there. I have something else I want to take on with that, but I'll get to that in a second. So yeah, the next thing was a little cleaning. So I just talked about that, you know, so you may sweep around your area. They may have mops, you know, if a customer wastes something, or sometimes customers, they will be out in the garden, and you know, if it rained that day or the day before, their plants may be wet, or they bring in one of those flat carts, and the flat cart is wet and it kind of wets up the floor. So sometimes you may have to mop around your area if it's getting wet, or the plants leaving, you know, the leaves are falling off, or you know, it's leaving dirt. You may want to sweep that up. Especially if you're closing, you will be doing a bit of cleaning. Like I said, emptying trash, nothing major, you know, you're no custodian, okay? You know, you're not cleaning the bathroom, that's the thing. Now that I did have to do in Dollar General, but not Home Depot. Now that's a separate job. They have something else, other people for that. So just some slight cleaning. Something else. Now this goes with customers, so I'm pretty sure I'm going to talk about this in the next video, but people asking where things are. In the Home Depot, that is a very, 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 very common thing, which was mentioned like at orientation. You know, people will come in and expect you to know where everything is, and you know, it's just impossible. You're not going to know where everything is, you know. So yes, look out for that. Sometimes, depending on the season, like they will ask for the same thing or similar things, so eventually you'll get it, you'll know where things are. Now I don't know how every store is set up, but I know for mine, the Home Depot I worked for, cleaning supplies were on aisle 4. So you know, I picked up on that really fast. A lot of people were coming in asking for empty spray bottles, so you know, I knew. Eventually I learned. I was there for 4 months, so I learned pretty fast that, okay, yeah, this is where this is, or you know, just different things like that. And I'm not even going to try to quote myself on where something else is on another aisle. Let me just leave it at that. But yes, people will come in and ask you. Now, along with that, what I was going to say with the mostly standing around, so you will be like outside of your register. Like you won't be right there at your register. They will ask you to come out and kind of stand like where they call the racetrack, and that is where, you know, people are just walking around. You know, it's like the main hall where, you know, all the aisles are in front of us and people are just walking through trying to get to the next aisle or whatever. So in that area, we do have to stand there and kind of greet people and be there for their questions, because like I said, they will ask where things are. They will stop and ask an associate. So as long as you have on your apron and you're an associate, they will stop and ask you questions. So the next part of that would be using the store app. I was really big on that. So having the Home Depot app on my phone, that helped me a lot, because a lot of times I didn't know, what they were looking for. Half the time I didn't even know, the things that they were naming and calling out. I didn't even know what they were, Mind you, Home Depot, this is a big, this is a store that's all about home improvements and, hardware and stuff. Some of them tools I knew nothing about, okay? So, I had to pull out my phone and go on the app, and, the app will tell you most of the time, not all of the time, most of the time it will tell you where things are. It will tell you the aisle. I believe it'll tell you the bay as well. And some people will look for that. Some people will ask you, what bay is it? I'm like, I don't know, cause if they're asking for the spray bottle, like I said, that I know, that and cleaning supplies, that stuff is on aisle 4. Now, if you ask me the bay, I won't know not near one out the top of my head. That is where I have to really have the app and pull that out and make sure that, I'm giving them an accurate aisle and everything. Because sometimes I'll know, like, okay, I know it's to the left in the very back, Sometimes that's the best I can do, but I'll go ahead and I'll pull out my phone. I'm like, let me give you an exact aisle, right? So I use the store app for that. But like I said, it will not tell you everything. One of the things it will not tell you, plants. So if you're out in garden, don't bother unless they're asking for something else, like, because there are other things out there, like pots, the little pots to put the plants in, or other things like that. If as long as it's not an actual plant, it should be on the app. But it will not, well, at least not for my location. If you look up a plant, it will not, they don't really have a inventory count for that. That's something that you may want to get some help with an actual garden associate, somebody who's working in that department, because the app is not going to tell you that. And that sometimes the app is not 100% useful, but sometimes it works better. It works better than the little app that they have on the register. It's kind of built in with the register. Sometimes it's hard to find things on there, and you got to use the store app. So yes, that's that. Using the store intercom. So if you are a cashier, you will use that. I haven't had to, I was about to say I haven't had to use it every day, but I've definitely used it often, okay? So the intercom is like, you get on the phone and you go on the loud intercom where, the whole store can hear you, and you're calling for help. So you may have to say, customer needs assistance on aisle 10, or, something like that. Or you need loading assistance outside in the garden hut is what we usually call it. So yeah, sometimes you have to get on the intercom and call for help, or call for a certain department based on a customer's need. So that is very common for cashiers. So trust me, you're doing more than just counting money. It's not all about, I haven't mentioned one thing about money, at least not yet. But yeah, all these other things these are things that comes along with it, okay? So yes, using the store intercom. And me, that was the first time I had to do that. Like the first job I had to do that. And in the beginning, it was, it was terrible. Like I was nervous. I was shy about it. Like I'm naturally shy, so I did not want to do that. But the more I got used to it, I was doing it like it was nothing. I was, and I made sure that my voice was clear, and I was loud, and they can hear, exactly what I need, where they're supposed to go, where they're supposed to meet this customer. So, you know, eventually I got the hang of it, you know, because it's so common, you know. It may not be every day, but I sure felt like it was every day I had to use that intercom. It was something, okay? So the next part would be phone calls to other employees. So yes, sometimes you have to call actual employees there, or you may call a specific department. So like the example I previously did, the garden hut, right? If you're out in the garden and a customer has a question about plants, you know, a lot of people a lot of people they assume that if we are working in the garden, if we cashiers are working in the garden, that we know about plants. We do not know about plants, okay? They do not pick, the cashiers in the garden we're not garden associates, we're specifically cashiers, and we rotate in different departments. And yes, we get put in garden and we don't know a thing about garden. Really, like, at my location, none of us really knew about plants. Some of them, had their own plants, and they've bought plants, and they grow them, but they don't know about plants and annuals and perennials and all that. I sure did not have a clue. Okay, so yes, we do get rotated into that specific area, but we do not know. So sometimes we have to call someone in that department. We have to call a garden associate to answer the question, because customers end up coming to us, because most of the time we're the only ones that they see out there, and so they think to ask us, and we don't have a clue, so we got to call them. And so yeah, you will have that. Something else is, something may not be right. It may not be coming up in the system, so you may need to call that department and ask for a SKU number or something like that, something that we can put in, because we need to have an actual item. We can't just put in a price. The price has to be associated with an actual item, so we have to know exactly what it is. So sometimes, yeah, you need to call another department, whatever department is needed, so sometimes you have to do that. I would say the garden is probably the most, our garden is probably the most called department. Like, oh my gosh, you hear it all the time on the intercom, not just from us cashiers, but from most definitely the service desk. A lot of times people will call in and they may ask, if a plant is in or something like that. But we'll hear it on the intercom, garden, please call, this number to get in contact with whoever is calling about the plant, So we hear that a lot. Garden is probably the most called department. I feel so bad for them. It's always something they gotta do. Like, if you want to stay busy and you like the outdoors or stuff like that, trust me, garden is probably going to be your thing. Like, that is a busy department. You hear me? So yes, phone calls to other employees. That's something else you'll be doing. Monthly cashier tests. Okay, so that is something that the Home Depot does. This is specifically to the Home Depot. I didn't have to do this. I don't remember having to do that for Dollar General, but for the Home Depot, there is like a monthly cashier test that you do, and the test is well, it's not like a test that you take on paper, but it's an actual physical test where it's like the head cashier or whoever, they will gather some items together and put them in a cart, and you know, your job is to scan all of them, and you know, your price has to match their price, you know, for everything. And it's to make sure that you are scanning everything, that you're not missing things, that you're checking inside items that can open, because sometimes customers will put things, smaller things, in bigger things, and you know, get something free or whatever, you know, or steal. So that's the purpose of that, to make sure that cashiers are doing what they're supposed to do, following all rules. Now, speaking of rules, there's a certain order that you're supposed to scan items, okay? So the order, it's an acronym for it. I don't even remember the acronym now. I don't even remember it now. But you have to start at the bottom, okay? You start at the bottom of the cart, and then you do the inside of the cart, right? And then you do the top piece, like where the seat is, where you seat the kids, and you do that part. And then you can do whatever items are in the customer's hands. So if they have a bag of chips or a bottle of soda, something, you know, that you do last. So yeah, you do it in that order. There are other little rules as well. You know, if their cart is full, you know, it's best to get another cart, so that once you scan one, you just put it in another one. That way, you know, you're not scanning anything twice, or you're not missing anything. You know, once one item is scanned, you move it on to the next cart, you know, if it's, you know, full, if it's really, really full. And so, yeah, that's something else. But yes, so the purpose of the test is to make sure that you're doing what you're supposed to do, and that you're not missing anything. And yeah, make sure you're checking everything that can open it. You know, if there's a trash can or whatever, a bin or something with the lid, you want to make sure you're looking in there. Anything with drawers, stuff like that, you know, make sure you're checking those, because they will purposely hide small expensive items, like technical items and stuff like that, in there. You know, so yeah, and make sure you're looking under everything. So that's another part, okay? But yeah, they do that every month, every beginning of the month. So every like first of the month. Yeah, you'll have that test. Now, there are like online tests as well. But you know, it's you know, you watch little videos and you answer the questions. It's yeah, you're fine. It's a piece of cake. You'll be okay. All right, so now we're gonna get into a little bit about money, right? So let's get into money. Cash strips. So now these are more things that are gonna be like kind of go with all of them, any cashier, but we're gonna mostly talk about, you know, how it's done in the Home Depot, right? So cash strips, right? So cash strips is when you have a large amount of money, right? So especially if you have $100 bills and $50 bills. Sometimes you can have a lot of $20 bills is enough to do a cash strip as well, depending on how many you have. So when it comes to that, you know, that's basically when you do a cash strip, you're stripping the higher bills out of your register. Now at the Home Depot one is like the bank. So, you know, you have the little tube, and you know, you put it in there and you shoot it up and it goes to the office. So it's really cool, you know. That we did not have at Dollar General. So it was done a little differently there. But Home Depot is definitely there. It's a big store, and they're up to date on that type of thing. So yeah, it's just like the bank. You shoot it up there. I have videos of me doing that already. So I have, by the time this video comes out, I will already have 2 videos, you know, kind of like you'll see me working, you know, kind of like a day in my life, come to work with me type of videos. So you'll get to see me doing that. Even after this, I have a few more videos all throughout the month of August. I'm gonna have Home Depot videos. So every Saturday I'm gonna be doing videos like this where I'm just kind of talking about it, and then every other day, Tuesdays and Thursdays, I'm gonna have pretty much videos of me working, so you guys will get to see, you know, how I work and all that stuff. But yeah, that's the cash strip. Money requests and running out of money. Oh God, let me tell you, I hated that part the most, and it's very common in the Home Depot because it's a big store, and you know, it's a lot of customers, so you can easily run out of money. And the main, I'm trying to keep this separate, but I may have to touch on this a little bit. So the main thing are big bills, right? So if you get big $100 bills, you know, and you have to give back a large amount of change. So, you know, let's say their order comes out, their transaction comes out to $20, and they hand me a $100 bill. That means I owe them $80 back, and that could easily draw away from my register. You know, let's say I don't have 50s in my register, so that's like 4 $20 bills right there, the one customer. Something else, cash back. Some customers will ask for cash back. Now, for my location, I don't know if this is for every Home Depot location, but I know mine was $50. $50 was the highest you can get for cash back. Every location is different. Yeah, every location is different in terms of the amount they can get. As far as different stores, I don't know about every different Home Depot, but you know, different stores have different prices. But yeah, that's something else that can run your register low. And so you have to do a request for money. So we have to call the head cashiers and ask them to bring money. And I absolutely just hated that, you know, for whatever reason. I didn't like it, but you know, it's something you have to do. If you're out of money, you gotta have money in your register in order to keep going, you know. So that's something else. That's just cashier 101 in general. That's not really specific to Home Depot, but with the Home Depot, like I said, it is a big store, so it may be a little bit different. You know, it would be much different compared to like, you know, a Dollar Tree where things are, you know, around the dollar, since they're not a dollar store no more. You know, they got things higher than $1. So yes, but you know, the items in Home Depot are huge. You know, there are things in the hundreds and the thousands, like, ugh. It's easy to run out of money there. So be prepared to have to make requests and call a head cashier to bring you some more money. All right. Let's see. Okay, so let's talk about exact change versus big bills. Honestly, I really had no business being a cashier. And the crazy thing is, I actually applied for like 2 different positions, but they chose me to be a cashier only because I had experience in being a cashier. But I'm like, I don't like being a cashier. I ain't gonna lie to you, I don't like it. Anyway, exact change versus big bills. You know, my favorite transaction was when people were using their cards. That's all I do. I use my card. I hardly ever use cash when I go out to shop. You know, I just, you know, tap my card, swipe my card, whatever. Let's get it done. Let's get it over with. But exact cash, ugh. Sometimes I like it. Sometimes I got bored. Like sometimes I'm like, okay, come on, somebody, bring me some cash. Let me count something because I'm bored. Like I said, I'm standing here all day. You know, let me count. Let me do something. So sometimes, yeah, I wanted people to pay cash, but most of the time, yeah, I like when people are using their card and I ain't got to count the money. But especially when it comes to fake and counterfeit dollar bills, because that is a problem as well. And you know, they're getting so good at it now, like you can hardly tell. I sure can hardly tell. Like I've got in trouble before because for accepting, you know, a fake $100 bill, and I'm like, I didn't know. I couldn't tell. I honestly couldn't tell. But anyway, exact change versus big bills, right? So let's talk about exact change first. You know, some people will give you exact change, and you know, when it comes to change, like the cents, the pennies, nickels, quarters, and dimes, like, ugh, I tell you, that is when it's like, oh my God, that's when it gets exhausting to count, when you're counting the exact change. I'm like, you know, let me make sure, you know, because then I gotta count it back, you know. I can't just assume that they give me the correct change, you know, so I gotta count it. So I'm like, okay, here we go. And then there's some people who will pay with change, you know. There's some people who will give you like $4 in quarters. So like, you know, it's even worse if they try to do that with other change. You know, it may be $3 in quarters and the rest all in dimes, or you know, I don't know, something like that. You know, but I've definitely had it happen before. So yeah, that can be frustrating at times, counting exact change. And then having, like I said, the big bills. When you get big bills, and the purchase is so small, like I said, you know, if their order, I've had people come in and pay $100, pay $100 for something $20 or less. Like, they will do that. I'm like, okay, you know. And sometimes, like I said, you don't always have bigger bills, like $50 bills in there, and so it's taking, you know, I may, you know, what if I had you know, I don't know, 3 $20 bills, right? So if I had 3 $20 bills, okay, that's 60. So then, you know, I would have to do the rest in 10, 5s, possibly 1, depending on what's in my register. So yeah, big bills can be a big deal. Again, as well as like counterfeit, and you know, because you know, like I said, I got in trouble for a $100 bill. You know, there was somebody else that got in trouble for a larger amount that was counterfeit, and it's, you know, you just got to be careful out here, okay? You got to be careful. I'm gonna talk about one more thing before I talk about this. So, something else. Now, my location had a good amount of theft. I've seen the police there a lot. Now, I can't say that your location could expect that, but you know, I didn't expect that from my location. Actually, I tell you, like the first day I worked, like the first day on the floor, I tell you, it was this guy, and he was like, you know, yelling and screaming and cussing at the people at the front desk at, you know, customer service, and it was just wild, you know. It was just wild. You know, I've seen people get arrested. I've seen people get caught stealing at the store. So yeah, you know, with it being a big store and they have, you know, expensive items, people will try to steal, okay? All right, so last but certainly not least, going back with what I was saying about garden, right? Rotating, okay? So there are like 4 different departments that you could be in if you are a cashier at the Home Depot. So there is the pro area, okay? So the pro area, you have the pro register, and down there is on the end where it's all of the lumber and plywood and all those type of things. You know, a lot of the building material and building supplies are down there. So they have their own little area. Now, of course, customers don't care about the area. Like, they will bring different items down there. You know, they could be, is someone they could have bought plants, right, and brought it all the way from the other side of the store over there. So, you know, it's not specific. It's just a closer area, you know, because some people may come specifically for that. So rather than, you know, them coming on this end of the store and have to come on this end of the store to pay for that, you know, I guess that's how it works. That's how it's set up. But it's none of these areas are specific to buying anything. All registers, you could buy anything at any register, basically, but there are different departments for cashiers. So yeah, the pro register, that is where all the lumber and building supplies are, concrete, stuff like that. Next, self-checkout. Self-checkout is self-explanatory, right? It's self-checkout, but somebody has to be there because, you know, we got to be there to help. If a customer accidentally scans something twice, we have to be there to take it off. Obviously, they can't do it themselves. They will try, but they cannot do it themselves because then they'll try to take everything off, you know? So yeah, we have to be there to keep an eye on them. Again, like I said, if they have anything that can open, so if they come with a big trash can or a bin or something, we have to check them. Like, you know, they're checking themselves and we checking them. Like, that's the reality. That's what it is. You know, we gotta check them. So that's self-checkout. That's that area. Then you have the regular registers, which is just that, you know, they're just in the middle of the store. You ready to check out, you just go there, okay? Then there's garden. The garden, outside in the garden has its own registers, you know, rather than people having to come inside and pay. Now, it depends on the hours, because sometimes you will have to come inside and pay because that one is not open the whole entire business hours. So yeah, that's that. Now, really quick, I'm gonna go through a little bit of pro and con on each one. For me, now the pro area, for me, it was that, you know, most of the time at my location, I was by myself down there, and they do have 2 registers down there, and they also have like a pro service desk area, but that's separate. But as far as actual registers for the cashiers, there's 2 down there, and most of the time it's just one of you down there. So usually, you know, when they send me down there, it was just me. And me, that's a pro for me because I like that. I like being alone. Like I said, I'm more shy. I don't really like to talk. So, you know, I don't mind, you know, other employees talking to me, but, you know, some people do it because they're bored, you know, they just want to talk. But me, okay, you know, if you talk, okay, sure, I'll talk back, I'll respond. But as far as starting conversations, I'm not with that. So, you know, I liked being down there by myself and just talking to the customers, interacting with the customers, and that's it. Just getting it done so I can go home. You know, overall, that's the overall thought in my mind 24/7. While I'm there, I want to go home. So that was the pro for that. The con for that is certain things overall. Now, this is for every location. Well, not every every place that a cashier is going to be. The 4 different places I named: pro, self-checkout, regular registers, and the garden. For all of those, the main problem is when customers come with items. The main con is when customers come with items that don't have a scan on there. It doesn't have a little barcode that I can scan, and then you just have to start searching things, you know. That's when it gets difficult. That's when it gets complicated. So that is a con for every single one. But yeah, for pro, it is a little bit harder to do because you have to find the exact size of what they have, or you know, the length and everything for the wood, or just knowing how many sheets of drywall, and you know, you just, some of these things you have to be very, very specific, especially when it comes to things that are priced by length. So that's some of the cons of the area. Or some people, you know, they just may come with a bunch of things that, a bunch of different woods, a bunch of different size, and you know, you gotta be cautious and, you know, ask them, okay, is this the same? Because sometimes things may look the same and you know, it's not. And so yeah. But yeah, so that's pro. Self-checkout. So self-checkout again, I'm trying to figure out like the pros and the cons of it. So self-checkout, the pro for me was that, you know, the machines was counting the money. I ain't gotta count the money. That was a pro for me. Now the con to that is, if it's just you, sometimes it'll be just you. Sometimes they'll have more than one person there in that department. But if it's just you, you know, you're watching however many registers are there, you know, or little self-checkout machines are there. So at my location, it was 4. So, you know, I have to watch 4 different transactions that's going on at the same time. Now, that's not all the time, you know. If it's like in the morning time, because they open at 6 a.m., except Sunday. But, you know, if it's very, very early in the morning, you know, 1 or 2 people may come. It's not usually full. Later on in the afternoon, it gets full. There are 4, you know, people at each machine, and, you know, I'm having to watch them, make sure they're scanning everything and all of that. So, and sometimes it can get overwhelming because sometimes more than one person needs help. Sometimes more than one person needs help, and, you know, you can't do nothing but really just go in order, try to get it done. I gotta find this item for this person because they don't have a barcode, or I gotta put in the length for this. Like, that's something else. If you're in self-checkout, you have to put in the length. If they come with a certain wood or a pipe that's priced by length, you have to put it in. Otherwise, you know, they can't put it in because they may lie for a cheaper price. So, you know, we have to do that. Something else, in my area, there is like a lock behind self-checkout that keeps some of their technical items, like their doorbells, the ones with the cameras on it, you know, those type of doorbells. So sometimes we have to deal with that as well. We have to unlock it and, you know, let them pick it out, or, you know, whatever the case may be. So yes, you have to do that. So sometimes self-checkout, even though it's self-checkout, sometimes self-checkout can be the busiest. Sometimes you're more busy at self-checkout than you are at being at a regular register. So that's something you gotta look out for. Yeah, like I said, sometimes it can get chaotic. Everybody's machine going off. What does it say? Customer needs assistance at self-checkout. Like, sometimes more than one machine is saying that because more than one person needs help, and it gets chaotic. Okay, it gets chaotic. So that's self-checkout. Regular registers, the pro to that, I guess, is that those, it's probably they're the regular registers. It's probably like the main registers, which mean like you'll get a good amount of people, you know, you'll see a good amount of people, which could make your day go faster. Now the con to that is everybody may want to come to the regular register. Like, well, not everybody. Some people do love self-checkout. They will bypass right past the regular registers. But some people, you know, they're ready to come to the regular registers, and those may be the people that has a full cart and it's like, I gotta go through all of this, I gotta scan all of this, and yeah, sometimes it's exhausting. Okay, but other than that, you know, it is what it is. And last but not least, garden, right? So the garden register. All right, so the pro to that would be, I don't know. I guess if you like outdoors, I actually liked gardening, but you know, yeah, I can't. I'm trying to figure out, you know, an overall pro that people may like. But I mean, if you like outdoors, then that's probably a good area. Um, cons to that are, if you don't like outdoors. Now, let me tell you, summertime, whew, let me tell you, when you got all kind of stuff flying around, I am not a fan of flying insects. I do not like flying insects. I have a fear of all of them. Like, I will run from a moth, and a moth will literally do nothing but come in your house and sit in your wall. Like, but I just do not like any flying insects, especially bees and wasps and hornets. Like, I do not like the ones that sting. I have never gotten stung, and look, I don't plan on it. I keep my behind away from them, all right? So that is a con, you know. Yeah, I don't like when they out there, because then I get very overprotective and I'm ready to close the door and everything, close the window, because no, don't let them get in here, all right? All right, anyway, another con could be, this is something that's common in the garden with the plants, at least for my location, the no barcode thing. And like I said, it is hard. It is extremely hard to find plants because it's just not on the app. It's not really on the app. It's hard to find specific plants, and sometimes people will come and they'll buy a plant and, you know, they don't know exactly what it is. They don't know the name of it. They just think it's pretty and they want to buy it. So, you know, you don't know what to search. So that is a problem with plants. Something else, stones, pavers, stuff like that. Those type of things do not have scans or any type of barcode. You have to search those specifically, and some of them look very, very much alike. Some of them have different measurements. You got to know the exact measurements, so you're charging them for the right one. So that is a con to garden as well. Let me see, what else? Anything else? Any other cons for garden? I think that's it. I think that's it. Other than, you know, adjusting to the weather. Now, my location did have fans, ACs, heaters, and all that stuff. You do have a fridge to keep cold water in there and all that. So that was a pro. But, you know, other than that, garden isn't that bad. Like I said, overall, for any, if you know, customers have a large cart, that's the biggest thing. I'm telling you, sometimes it'll take you all day. Like, you know, it's been times where I just felt like I've been on one transaction for so long trying to scan everything. Especially in plants, especially if you're outside in the heat. So yeah, that's that. But I think that overall sums it up. Oh my God, this video is almost an hour long. But yeah, so those are some of the things to expect as a Home Depot cashier. As you can see, you know, most of the things that I talked about was like outside of counting money, because it really is more than counting money, okay? So yes, that's what I wanted to talk about, wanted to discuss. There are a lot of other things to learn, and I would highly recommend you guys come along for part 2. Yeah, come along for the second video that I have, and it's going to talk about customers, but it's going to talk about some of the other things in the stores that, you know, things that you have to do for the customers, basically. So it's going to be a second part, and it's going to talk about some of the other things that, you know, things other than specifically money, so to say. So if you're interested in more things on what to expect, with being a cashier at the Home Depot, make sure that you watch the customers one that I do. Knowing the customers at Home Depot, because let me tell you, it's just as important as this video here. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you like this video, please like, comment, and subscribe. All this month of July, actually August, I'm sorry, August of 2023, I will be doing Home Depot videos specifically. Like I said, I will have some specifically on me working. You guys will get to watch me work because I have vlogged a couple times, and I've done everywhere except self-checkout. I could not really, you know, it wasn't a place for me to put my phone in self-checkout, so that's the only place I have not vlogged. Every other department I have vlogged, so be sure to come on my channel and watch those videos as well. And if you like videos like this, again, make sure that you subscribe to this channel and make sure that you're keeping up with my worker series. That is a playlist that I have on here. I'll link it down below in the description, so you can keep up with videos like this where I'm talking to you guys about my experience, and you can actually watch me work and see my experience. So yeah, if you like videos like this, please come back, and I'll see you guys in the next one.